to master snowboarding. Now, if you can think of a sport or something that you really wanted to do, or some kind of an actual physical activity, it's pretty easy to figure out how you'd apply this to that, wouldn't you? So what did I do? First thing I did, now mind you, a lot of people I knew got really good at a sport because they were good as kids. You know, they got taken skiing as a young kid, and they've been growing up with skis or snowboards or basketball or whatever they did, right? Well, I grew up with none of that. When I grew up, I tried very badly to play football, soccer, volleyball, basketball, you name it, I sucked at it. I was Mr. Not Athletic. I was picked last on every single team, last or second to last, depending on who was on the team. But it was always, we'll take her, you take Matt. I'm like, So, but that was me, you know, all through elementary school, all through junior high, until I finally decided I'm not athletic. Then I started to have a shift, and my first shift came from rock climbing. Now, this was weird because I'm 19 years old. I've never been athletic my entire life. Have you ever had a belief that was such a deep conviction in yourself, and then all of a sudden one thing happened and it flipped it upside down right on top of itself? I had this moment when I said, wait a second, if I can do this, like, that has to make me rethink everything else, right? So a friend of mine had first gotten into rock climbing. And this will get me to the snowboarding story. And his name was Jerry. We were going to San Diego to do this. We worked together at the time. We were going to go sign a client. On the way back up, he said, man, I really want to stop by this rock called Turtle Rock in Irvine, California. And, you know, just down the road from here. And if you know the Turtle Rock community, well, Turtle Rock community is called Turtle Rock community because it's centered around a rock called Turtle Rock. And the rock called Turtle Rock is an Indian burial, or a sacred Indian ground. It has a little sign that says this is sacred Indian, please do not climb the rock. And of course, people always climb the rock. You know, and I'm 19, so I climb the rock, right? So I go there and I thought, okay, I don't know anything about this stuff. I'm not athletic. I can't climb. I don't know anything, but he can, so I figured I'd watch him. And then he said, well, you should try it out too. And I said, oh, I don't have those fancy climbing shoes like you do. He goes, oh, I got climbing shoes in the back. And I said, well, can I borrow your boots? And if you've ever climbed before, you actually don't want big boots. You want little tight, tiny little rubber shoes. So he said, well, use your Converse. Those are probably better than my boots. Okay, fine. So here I am in Converse shoes. I'm 19 years old. I go up to this little rock. It was about like as tall as the roof is here, you know, maybe 10 feet tall, something like that, 11 feet tall maybe. And, you know, it looked 100 feet tall from the bottom, right? But it was only about 10, 11 feet tall. I get up to this rock. I'm just going, man, it's so much. And he's climbing around, messing around with it, and it finally comes my turn. So now, mind you, I believe I am not athletic at all. I have no athletic gene in my body. I can't do this, but I figure, what the heck, I got to try it. So I get around, and I start to climb, and I grab a couple of holds, and I put my feet up. Right? Now I'm like 2 feet off the ground and I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, you got me? He goes, yeah, I got you, just climb. I'm like, oh. And I go and I grab another hold and I go pull myself up a little more, and now I got one more hold to find. There's a little crack that kind of flares out this way, and I reach my hand into the crack and I'm trying to find a hold to grab onto. But I can't find it. So now I'm really starting to freak out. I mean, I am all of 3 feet off the ground, and I feel like my life is in jeopardy, you know? So I'm going, you got me? And he goes, yeah, I got you. I look down, and I see this big thorny bush underneath me, and Jerry off to the side going, yeah, I got you. And I'm like, you don't got me. If I fall, you're just going to push me in the bush. This is not cool. So in that moment, he gave me what I now call a must. He gave me leverage to finish. It wasn't something I wanted to do because I always could have backed out, right? I could have hopped off and said, hey, you got me. I can't do it. But once I looked down and saw that there was no escaping, I either had to fall into the thorny bush of death or I had to climb and finish the climb. I burned my ship without knowing it, unfortunately. Or fortunately enough, because that was a little while ago and I've really loved climbing ever since. So I push my hand up further, I reach up and I find a hold. My eyes get wide. I remember this very, very clearly to this day. It was the first climb I ever did. I grab it, I pull myself to the top, and now I'm standing 10 feet off the ground, but I am like on Mount Everest, just like king of the world, you know? I had that feeling of, oh my God, I achieved. I am a great athlete. This is amazing. I've never thought that before in my life. From that moment, I changed a belief in a second about myself, and I didn't know I ever could. I believe that I am athletic and I can create athletic ability. And from that moment, I went on and started climbing more. I've climbed all over Joshua Tree just down the road here and all over Big Bear. I've climbed Half Dome in Yosemite, if you've heard of Half Dome, the 2,000-foot granite cliff. I've been on top of that thing. That was a big day. And several other, 1,000, 1,500 feet climbs you never heard of in a million years, but I've been on those ones. I'll tell you stories individually later in case you have a fear of heights, but it's been very, very intense for me to learn that skill over the last decade and some. Once I figured out I could climb, I thought, man, what else could I do? I started mountaineering. I started snowshoeing. I started going up, snow mountains with snowshoes. And then when I learned how to snowboard, I'd snowboard off the peak. And like that tripped me out that I could do something like that. I saw people doing that in movies, in movies. And, that kind of stuff. I never, in a million years, I thought I could do that. So I wanted to learn how to snowboard. So what do you do if you want to learn a new skill? Decide on my outcome. My outcome was I want to become a great snowboarder. I also, here's an interesting tip, decide how good you want to get. Now you might think, well, I want to be the best, Matt. Decide if you want to be the best. Because what comes with being the best? What else do you have to give up, do you think?
Time.
A lot of time. Money. Being the loser. A lot of commitment, right? Do you know, ask a Tiger Woods or a Michael Jordan, right? You might see them, on TV. Wow, they're so lucky with all that skill. He says, yeah, luck and the 8 hours a day I practiced over the last 15 years that you didn't see. He gets rewarded publicly for the work that he does privately when nobody sees it. That's what made him so good. So if you want to become a master, like the best in the world at something, it takes a lot of commitment. So decide how good you honestly want to get. Like my latest sport that I've been attempting is golf. Now golf does not apply to golf. This is a completely, that's not fair. Golf is a completely different animal. Okay, golf is just screwed. You can't get good at golf. I'm convinced. But first thing I did is I talked to a coach. I got a lesson. That's important. I went to the golf lesson coach, and he said, "So what's your outcome?" First thing he asked me, "What's your outcome for golf?" And you know what I said to him? He said, "How good do you want to get? What's your story? What do you want to do?" And I said, "I want to get consistently mediocre."
Good goal in golf, though.
Yeah, I want to get consistent and mediocre. I'd be happy if I could be a consistent mediocre golfer. Why? Because I know how much work I'd have to put into that. I'd have to practice fairly regularly, but not so much that it would take away my entire life. And I can go out with anyone in golf and have a good time and not be completely, totally frustrated all the time. That was my goal. So going back for snowboarding, what was my goal for snowboarding? I want to be able to be good. I want to be able to have fun and go and basically hang with almost anybody. If someone wants to go snowboarding and I can go, okay, great, well, I can go with you. I don't want them to be so good that I can never even keep up or anything. So I want to be good and have fun. That was my outcome. Have fun doing it, right? So I decided on my outcome. I said, I'm getting good at snowboarding this year. End of story. Now, the first year, I didn't really decide. All I did is I got my outcome, and I didn't do anything with it. I went up to the mountains once. The next year, I didn't go up at all. The year after, I went up twice. I still sucked. I would just tumble down the mountain. But it was the fourth year that I finally, again, looking back, I realized what I was doing. I knew my outcome. I said, okay, I'm going to get good this time. So that year, I decided. I said, I'm in. I'm going to become a great snowboarder, period, end of story. This is happening this year. And then what I did is I found a mentor. Now, a mentor came in, a friend of mine I went to school with. I found this friend because A, she was really good at snowboarding, and B, she was a certified teacher at the local mountain. So did she know how to teach? Yep. She was really good at it. So I can't tell you how many stories I've heard. Maybe you've had this in skiing or snowboarding. It's a very common story. Every time I'm sitting on a chairlift with someone, I always hear the story from someone, oh, I remember my first time on the mountain. All my friends were really good. They took me up to the top, and then they left me there. And they said, figure it out and get yourself home. Has anyone ever heard this story from somebody? It's a very common story. I've heard it dozens of times now. I can't believe there are that many evil people in the world. You wouldn't teach anybody anything and then just figure it out, and they fall all the way down, and they, from the double black run, and then they hate their life and everything sucks. I think that sucks. So I found a teacher who could teach me and was good. So I watched what she did, and she knew how to say, okay, here's what you need to do. Focus on this. Turn your head this way. Move your arms like that. When you do this, this will happen. She taught me all the things I needed to know, right? So that was my commitment. I said, I'm committing to you, and we went up to the mountain several dozen times that season. The next year, I went some stupid amount, like 50-something times, 50 different something snowboarding trips, all during one season. I went as often as I possibly could. Now, I didn't work as hard that year, but I certainly got good at snowboarding because that was total what? Immersion. Total what, please? Immersion. Total immersion. I said, if I'm going to get good, I'm going every chance I get. And every weekend I was up. If someone had a Wednesday they could take off, I take Wednesday off and we go to a local mountain an hour and a half away and we go snowboarding on Wednesday. Anytime I could, I was in. Right? I had my gear, I invested in my gear, all the stuff I needed, and I went as often as I could. And then after that, it came spaced repetition. Every season, it's going back every season, not just going one season and getting good and then leaving it. It's going back every season at least a few times to keep honing the muscle, keep doing the repetitions. And then, of course, become a leader in the field. Now, I'm not a snowboarding instructor by any stretch, but I've taught several people how to snowboard. Because when I have someone who doesn't know, the first thing I wanted to do after I got good at it is say, look, I'm not a master. I'm pretty darn good at it, but I want to learn how to teach somebody how to do this. When you can learn and master how to teach an art, you'll truly master the art itself. When you can learn to teach it, you'll master it.
Did you went to Mount Fuji?
I have not been to Mount Fuji yet. Not been to Mount Fuji, Grandma Kay. But our friends in Japan have been there. He likes it very much. So, yes. You ever heard the best comment in the world? Yeah. Only the local ones. So if you want to get really good at something, you got to master it. You got to learn how to teach that, right? So I started to teach snowboarding. I started to teach climbing. I've had, I don't know how many new friends. Someone says, oh, climbing sounds fun. I say, it's really fun. So they go, how do you do it? I say, well, come on out. And I'll take them to the climbing gym and I'll show them. Because I figured out how to tie my own knots, and that was easy enough to do. But then when it came time to go, okay, how do I show you how to tie this knot? I need to make sure I know how to get across my knowledge to somebody else. When you take the knowledge in your mind and you try to get it across to somebody else, you have to reinvent the way you hold on to that knowledge. Right? You have to change the representation or the representation to give it to somebody else. You have to have a high ability to understand that. So I applied it to climbing, I applied it to snowboarding, I applied it to NLP, I applied it to finances, I applied it to everything I possibly can. Where have you applied this without knowing it? If you can think of anything in your life you've ever mastered or gotten very, very good at, accidentally, you probably accidentally did this entire process, didn't you? Think about it. Have you ever done something that you do really, really well? Without knowing it, you probably followed this along. See, this is a classic NLP pattern. Because NLP, by its roots, neuro-linguistic programming, nothing is created brand new. Everything has been modeled or discovered. So what I mean by that is this isn't something I made up. I mean, I made up the words for it, but this is something that's been discovered. When you look at people who are successful in their field and master their art, they've probably followed these steps. We have models like this in NLP for sales, models in NLP for relationship work, models for emotional health, models for wealth building. Whatever you need to master, there's a model for that's been discovered by people who have done it successfully. Very, very simple. So, does anyone have any questions, first off, about the steps of mastery? Just curious. Pretty straightforward, huh? Good. I wanted you to get this through a few stories so you could really get a deeper understanding of how it works, because I think we learned through stories pretty well. So what I want to wrap up tonight with is I want to share something with you real briefly. Now, if you had a way to be able to take, well, really any breakthrough you needed to make in life and make that a reality, would you take the opportunity and do it?
Yes.
I mean, if I could tell you exactly what you need to do and what you need to learn to be able to shift any area in your life, would you do it? Yes or no?
Yes.
All right. Do you know how many people say no? Well, I'm not sure about that. Really? If I told you exactly what you need to do in order to make that breakthrough, would you do it? Right? Hopefully the answer is yes. Tony told that to me, and I said, yes, I'm in. Absolutely. So I want to tell you about one of the things that we do where most people would start at this point is people who are here are either a graduate from our courses, because this meetup is all for our graduates, or you're here for the first time because maybe somebody brought you and just said, hey, come, it's exciting, it's awesome. If you want to learn more about this, if you want to find out how the breakthrough stuff works, if you want to learn more about NLP, basically if you want to go down the rabbit hole with us a bit and learn a little more about this, we have a couple different courses coming up that I want to share with you real briefly. And I have nothing to sell to you. I just want to give you an opportunity that I think you can't pass up. We have a 3-day course called Success Revolution. Now, how many of you have been to Success Revolution? Just curious. Keep your hands up for a second. Yay, good. Was the 3 days worth your time? Just look at the faces. Everyone's like, ah. So it'll blow your freaking mind, I promise you that. We just finished the last one in Los Angeles. You were there. We just finished one last weekend in Los Angeles. It was awesome. Packed house. It was really, really fun. So the 3-day course, we have different ticket tiers. And normally what I talk about is we have a VIP ticket. The VIP ticket sells normally for $1,295. It's a 3-day course. What can I say about it? You'll learn this kind of stuff and more and break through any barriers that are keeping you back from this. Simple as that. So I know that most people would go to that. Now, just curious, would you go to something like that if it was free and if it didn't take you any time? Who would go if it was free and wouldn't take any time? I'm serious.
Oh, yeah.
Because some people were like, well, I'm not sure about that. Right? That's the question. Would you learn the technology and would you make the breakthrough if it didn't cost you any time or any money? So who would do that? Yes? Okay, I just want to get the commitment that you actually do that. So I'm going to do my very best for you to help you with that. The first thing is we do the courses over a weekend. So I thought, well, obviously time is very important to people. So we'll do them on a Friday night and a Saturday and Sunday. So we pack as much content and information as we can, but we take as little time to do that as possible. Right? We make them very concise that way. So you take no time off work. Unless you work on the weekend, then I can't really help you, but you get the idea. Or at least you take no time off the work week. For money, the ticket usually costs $1,295. That's for a VIP ticket. That gives you access to the course. It gives you course materials. You get closer VIP seating. There's also a VIP networking event that we do on Saturday night where you meet all the other action takers and me or the trainer, whoever's teaching the weekend will be there. The weekends are taught by Mel and by myself. So you'll have the networking on Saturday night, which is really fun. We'll get you a drink and have a good time. And then you also get a download of a 7-day NLP breakthrough course that I put together called Double Your Dollars. So that normally sells for $295. We'll include that with the ticket as well. So that's pretty cool. So all that, again, normally $12.95. That's what people pay retail. You can get specials online sometimes for a little cheaper. What I'll tell you tonight is if you're part of the Meetup group and you want to come to the course, pay the materials that it costs us, the cost to run the hotel and everything, $97, and you can come to the course. That's it. That's my pitch. It's as simple as that. I've taken the time, I've taken the money away. If you can't find $97 to invest in yourself, find it to invest in yourself. That's all I can tell you. And if you're not sure about it, someone raise your hand who's been to the course before. Go find someone with their hand raised and ask them honestly. Say, look, is it worth it? What's the deal? What happens there? And they'll tell you without a doubt. I have complete trust in any grad. They'll tell you the truth and they'll tell you if you should go or not. So if you want to come and you want to take me up on the offer of the scholarship for $97 cost, we have enrollment forms in the back. Grab an enrollment form from the back, talk to Anastasia, Mike, or Janet. Fill out the information at the top legibly. Put your email legibly so we can actually get the email to you. Some people scribble it and we can't read it, and we want to actually email you. And then you'll tick the box right here for Success Revolution, just so you know. Let's keep it simple. Under payment option, you'll put option 1, $97, and then put down credit card information, or you can also do check or cash. However you want to do it, we're fine that way. We can take any method. And then sign the bottom. You'll keep the yellow copy for yourself, leave the white copy here with one of our trainers, and we'll get you the information right away. You can start learning NLP with our download immediately. Tomorrow you can start learning it immediately right away. The course is coming up, just so you know. I'll write those down real quick and you can decide which one you want to come to. If you're local, most of you guys, who lives in Orange County? Orange County? Sweet, that's easy. Probably no one's in San Diego, but if you know someone down there, you can drag them along. Orange County is coming up the last weekend in February, February 24th through 20th. I'm Liz Dexick today. February, you ever been Liz Dexick? February 24th through the 26th. That's in Orange County. And then San Diego, the next one's coming up April 13th through the 15th. If you can't make either one of these dates, that's okay. We also have one in Los Angeles coming up in August. And that's August. I'll just leave these up here so you can take a look at it. August 10th through the 12th. If you can't make any of those dates, or you don't have your calendar here, I get that a lot, fill out the form, commit to the scholarship, commit to yourself, make it happen, and then if you really find out you can't make one of the dates, you can just call us or email us in the next couple of days. It's not a big deal. Tell us which one you want to make instead. You can shift the dates around. It's very, very easy. Okay? Any questions? Good. So take me up on the offer. I hope to see you guys all very soon. At the very minimum, we'll see you also next month. The first Thursday of every month, this meetup repeats. So we'll be teaching something new the next Thursday. So March, whatever it is, the first Thursday in March. Thank you guys for coming out tonight, and I'll be in the back if you have any questions. You can talk to anybody else. I love you. I hope this has been very useful. Thank you very much. Thank you. Go party. We'll be here for another 15 minutes or so, so please meet someone you haven't met yet, fill out the enrollment, hang out, and we'll have some fun.